All right, welcome everybody to the summer blockbuster review or the blockbuster review, whichever I feel like calling it when I do this tagline. Just another pointer. We are live 100%. As always, I have my host with me, Richard Optimus 124 Brown. How are you doing today, Richard?
Doing pretty good, sir.
All right, in today's show, we are just going to be reviewing Straight Outta Compton. Due to a certain situation, I was unable to see The Man from U.N.C.L.E, but I promise you I will go see that movie, and we will be talking about that in a later show. But as always, Richard, go ahead and let's just pause for a second here, and let's just talk about Fantastic Four for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, so we just read the reviews of others, and we were like, Redbox DVD, something.
Yeah. That'll be a Netflix.
Netflix. But all right, Richard, tell the people how you felt about Straight Outta Compton.
You know what, man? I'm gonna be honest with you with that movie. It's one of those things where I expected it to be good, but I didn't expect it to tug emotionally as much as it did. The thing about the movie at its core is that it showed three guys who were given a chance of a lifetime and shows how each of them played it out. It was kind of funny because it's like the way I would equate it is it's almost like watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe in reverse. It's like you had this team get built and then everybody kind of split off and did their own thing towards the end of the movie because all of them were eventually separated. And of course, I mean, the thing about it, we can't really say spoilers because if anyone with a good Wikipedia search can pretty much figure out exactly what happened to all the people in the movie. But the thing that I liked was the casting of this movie. The casting of this movie was phenomenal. The gentleman that played Eazy-E did a phenomenal job. Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., I swear to you, he even has his mannerisms down to a T when he's actually playing that role. It's almost like, with a lot of times you see actors when they're portraying someone else, one of the hard things is to actually be that person without overstating or correcting some of their mannerisms. I mean, they're at the end of the movie when they were at the hospital, he puts his hands on his face and wipes them down. And it's something that you see Ice Cube do. And it's perfect. I want to say the screenplay of the movie was very well done for the first 2/3 of the movie. The last third of it, it just kind of felt like the movie was either it was running out of steam or it's like they're trying to resolve all the plot lines because a lot of the movie, the very first 2/3 of it dealt with heart and the issues that they had and why they came to be the group that they were. Like even going to like the reason why they created their most notorious song, F the Police, was even that alone just kind of brought everything to a head as far as what the movie was. So I would have to say I enjoyed it. I definitely have to say that this is one of the better biopics that I've seen for music artists. And I would have to say, because I did see The Man from U.N.C.L.E, and all I'm going to say about it is if I had to choose between which two to see, I would go see this one for sure.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw this movie, and the last biopic I saw, it wasn't the Aaliyah one. I just heard the outlash about that, so I didn't even mess with it. Yeah. It was the last one that I saw was the one about the guy from Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, who shot himself. Okay. Yeah, and I was just thinking, what a waste of time that movie was. And then I saw this one. So going into this one, I'm thinking, like Richard said, even if you grew up during that time period or a good Wikipedia search, you pretty much know what's going to happen. But this movie really kept me captivated. I'm in the same boat with you. The first 2/3 of this movie described a lot of things that I didn't know and a lot of things that I did know. And then the very end, it seemed like it turned into the Eazy-E story almost. And I was like, okay, well, this is cool, but let's get back to it and wrap it up. The acting in this movie, you're not going to get any great Oscar performances in this movie, but the cast actually looked like the people who they portrayed. So that was a major plus for me on my side. And I like the way that they describe how certain events took place because I saw it from the outside looking in, and now I feel so this is a good look inside of the group NWA and how they became the group NWA, and they're showing the world how the group really got formed. And it's really, really good movie. It's not the typical movie that we review because it's not an action-packed movie. It's basically a biopic, tell you the story of something.
Oh yeah, gotta give it credit because the movie starts off with an action sequence. If you think about it,
that's huge in the spoilers. We're going to get to that. Yeah. It does start off with an action sequence. Wow. But this movie it kind of takes you for an emotional roller coaster because you're riding high and thinking, oh wow, big huge success, and then bam, they bring you back to reality and what happened, and they take you back up high because you remember, oh yeah, I remember when that song came out, and I remember when that song came out. Oh my goodness, that was really going on behind the scenes. That's why they did that. So it's a really good movie. I usually say recommendations for the end, but I would like to see this movie again. It's really good, entertaining the whole time. Even if you don't like rap music, you would still like this movie just because it's that well written.
Agree. Definitely have to agree.
Yeah. So let's move on to the spoilers because there's plenty of them for this movie. We're like to get out there.
We say spoilers.
It's really not spoilers because you can go. It's public knowledge. You can go read it now on the internet. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's movie. Like I don't know if you can read that opening scene on the internet, but
probably not.
Let's just talk about that. That was, when that opening scene happened, I was seriously like, if the rest of the movie is even 50% like this, wow. So the opening scene is Eazy-E is going to a dope house, and just from watching VH1 Behind the Music, ECubed even said, whenever money got tight, Eazy-E would go somewhere, make some money, and come back. We're not stupid. We know what he did. He wasn't bagging groceries at your local grocery store. He was selling dope. So he goes into a dope house, and the deal is pretty much going bad because there's a sawed-off shotgun, there's a revolver pulled, another guy's at his back, and then all of a sudden they say one time is coming. And I'm thinking, one time. Grew up in the suburbs. We had 5-0, we had Popo, we had pigs, we had cops. I didn't know what one time was. And then all of a sudden you see this huge artillery tank coming down with a battering ram on it. And they literally run the tank through the front door. The girl goes flying who's stuffing dope up in the ceiling. Yeah. Eazy-E's trying to get out the back. Yeah. People are flushing dope left and right, throwing it down the sink. I'm like, man, this is what, because everybody out there, I've never portrayed or claimed to be a gangster, a G, a thug. I knew that the instant I signed my name on the college application to go to South Carolina. I knew that wasn't the life for me.
Right.
I portrayed all that stuff through maybe the music I listened or TV shows that I would watch. I'm thinking it's good to watch from a distance,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not the life for me. But just to think that was some of the things that they went through. And Richard, please talk about that school bus scene.
Dude, you know what? And that was something that was interesting about that is because I forgot who the artist was. I was watching David Banner. I was actually an interview he was doing with Vlad TV talking about how back in the day there were codes, quote unquote, as far as gangs and whatnot, and was saying how they would always still look out for the children, despite the fact that boy did something really, really dumb. What happened is he was throwing out gang signs while he was on the school bus, taunting these, these straight. They are from the streets. They are. I forgot what gang they said they were.
OG Blood.
There you go. Yeah. Basically, they got in front of the school bus, stopped the bus, and then pulled guns out on the kid and told him, you keep this up. You need to stay in school to get your education, get up out the hood. But if you keep this up, I might be the one that shoots you. In so many words. I mean, of course, there were some colorful metaphors going on with that.
Explicit content.
Yeah. But I mean, that was actually really, really tense. But what the movie did very well is it caught ECube's level of humor, because the next scene was him talking about, we had this OG Blood come on the bus and give us a motivational speech and then leave. Like they caught, it was. There were things in this movie that, it what I liked about, especially with that one scene, is that it didn't glorify being in the hood or coming from the trap or whatever. It didn't glorify any of those things. It just showed that they were means to an end to get what you needed in order to survive. And that was kind of the way that it was, that way that was portrayed. It was never like, you know, slinging dope was the ideal way of doing things. It was more so, well, I got to get this paper because I'm not going to eat next week. So this is the only way that I can do it. So this is just the way that it is. Because you even see that through the course of the movie, even down to Eazy-E's towards the end of his character story, was that was a last resort. It wasn't something he was doing because he could. You know, now, of course, I'm sure that there were some details that were glossed over with a lot of stuff, especially because you have a man who now is in family movies and another gentleman that is actually a exec who has a company that's owned by Apple. I don't think they're going to go over all of the eccentricities of the story, because I'm sure there are a couple of scenes where you're like, yeah, no, that probably happened, but there's more to it than just what we see on the screen. You know, but that was the thing about this movie that really, really got me. Like, I actually even suggested, like, I told my parents that I went and saw it, and I told them, I said, look, this is probably something, because my dad, he's retired law enforcement, so that's something that even it puts a different perspective on it. Because if you think about it, outside other than Eazy-E, at least the way it was portrayed is that Dre and Cube were just pretty much guys that happened to be from the hood that just so happened to like be in the middle of all this other stuff. You know, they weren't really, at least they didn't show that they were actually, you know, slinging dope and all the other stuff. All they were doing is they were, you know, one guy who liked to write rhymes, the other guy just happens to be a DJ. And then you have the one guy who happens to be, you know, it's like, you know, he's like the guy that's over in the corner that you just don't talk about. He does what he needs to do. He just, you don't talk about how he does it. And that's kind of how the whole thing was treated.
Yeah. I also like how they showed about the guy Jerry, who was the manager for Ruthless Records, and how he pretty much dicked him over for the whole contract. Because I knew why Ice Cube left the group. I didn't know why Dr. Dre left the group. And I'll talk about that in a second. And this is the kind of gripe that I have with the story, because Ice Cube not signing that contract for NWA kind of made me, when it happened, I shouldn't say when it happened, several years later, I read about Ice Cube's story and how he got all his money. And basically, he didn't sign the contract with NWA because he knew that he basically did all the writing for that Straight Outta Compton album and Easy Does It. He should have been getting a lot more money because it was basically his creative work that was being portrayed. So that's why he left NWA. And then when he went to Priority Records and dropped that album and the guy didn't pay them, pause for a second. Great scene in the movie when he shows back up with the baseball bat. I remember reading about that as a kid in the paper.
Yeah.
Well, what I really wish they would have portrayed in the movie was about that deal that he did with Sony and how he went independent. Well, he's still signed to a major label, but he was basically getting independent type money. He said, Sony, I just want you to pay for my CDs and I'll do everything else. I'll pay for the album to get recorded, the publishing. He wanted to own his publishing. He wanted to own his distribution. He basically got an 80-20 deal where he was getting the 80 and the record label was only getting the 20. And you'll never see that again in music, because up until America's Most Wanted, no rap album had gone platinum.
Right.
And then he dropped that album and went platinum and got stupid rich. That's why we have Friday. That's why we have Friday After Next. That's why we have all those Ice Cube movies. Unfortunately, we got Ride Along and Ride Along 2 coming. That's why we have Cube Vision Productions. It's because of that stupid deal that he got with Sony, and you'll never see that again. I just wish that was portrayed more in the movie. So
yeah, you're right. They didn't cover that at all. Yeah, you're right.
Like, artists, if they could see that, hey, Ice Cube did it, everybody, even if you don't like rap music, you know who Ice Cube is. You can be like, hey, how did this guy get his money? Oh, he did it a legal way? That would have been great to see in the movie. Another gripe that I have about the movie was about DOC. Mm-hmm. He probably put out one of the best albums from the West Coast. Nobody Does It Better, completely produced by Dr. Dre. And they didn't really talk about, they showed who DOC was. He was his homeboy from Texas. and he came up there. He was one of the members of NWA, but you know, and they talked about how he got in a car crash and crushed his larynx, and that's why he couldn't talk anymore, or something. He can't speak anymore. Something happened to him. That's why he quit rapping. Whatnot. I just wish we get a little bit more about DOC story. And MC Ren, like they showed who he. Yeah, I'm like he was always like, who is the other guy? We know Dre, we know Eazy-E, we know Cube. Who is this other guy? And I was like, give us some more about MC Ren, because I was really interested in learning more about MC Ren. And also, I had no idea who DJ Yellow was.
Yeah. We just know
he was always, he was the guy on the cover that nobody knew his name.
Yeah.
Now,
you're right, man. I'm glad you brought up those gripes, because it's like they were in the movie and then all of a sudden they just disappeared and then came back and then were gone again. And that was kind of it. Like, it's very clear, you know, where the production side of the movie was. Like, it's very clear that Dre, Cube, and Eazy-E's widow, they actually are the ones who are behind it. Because the other two, it's like they were, like, calling them supporting characters is giving them too much credit. Like, it's almost like they were literally just, they have a few lines for the sake of simple exposition, and then that's it. There was one other thing that kind of got me in the movie, and I'm not sure if it happened this exact way, but the thing with Dre's first child, it's like it happens and then she leaves and then you never see those characters again. And that may have been how it actually was, but I was like, is the daughter ever going to show up again? Just show up? And clearly not, because it's like that was just completely like, it was like she was like, bye. And then that was the last time you ever see her in the entire film again. You know, it's not like, you know, it's just, you can tell, it's like things like that, you can tell where, you know, who was buttering the bread. Like, you can just tell that, okay, this is all we're going to talk about, and we'll leave all the other, you know, all the other little shenanigans out of it. But it was, you know, it was something else that was, like you said, I had the same gripe like you said about the Eazy-E story, because it's like the last 20 minutes of the movie, and I know that is kind of what it happened, but it just seemed like there was so much heart and everything invested into the movie otherwise. Then all of a sudden you cut to this one, you know, you cut to pretty much Eazy discovering and then his passing due to complications from AIDS. You know, it just kind of happens. You know, and I know I might be sounding like, you know, obviously that's what happened, but it just seemed like it was all of a sudden it got to that point, and then the movie, like, the movie practically is like, once he passed, then Dre left Death Row, and then made Aftermath, and then the credits start rolling. You're like, wait, so like, what happened to Cube? I mean, we know what happens to him, obviously, but you know, like, there really was not a, I guess, like, the only thing you really got to see about Cube is that you saw that he was writing the screenplay to Friday, and that was kind of the exposition thing for his character type. Like, oh, okay, well, we see how this is. It kind of is like the little, it reminded me of, like, in the Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan picks up Anakin's old lightsaber, and it's like, oh, yeah, I recognize that reference. It's like, it's just thrown in there because they have to show you that, hey, he's going to be okay. But not really, it doesn't really add anything to it. Like, it'd been good to see, like you said, something more about how he kind of got to where he was. Because even in the after credit scene, they don't even talk about that deal that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Like, still, people, great movie, go see it. I really thought that this movie, the way it ended, it felt like this was like maybe part 1 of 2.
There you go. Yeah.
You can only fit so much into 2 hours and 30 minutes, or however long the runtime is for this movie. You can only fit so much into it. But yeah, it would have been nice to see, when Dr. Dre goes off and creates Aftermath. Like, you got to talk about how Aftermath was basically a flop until Eminem came along. He really didn't have any artists on that roster until then. And, you know, like Cube getting his money through that crazy deal with Sony and then making movies, because that would have been great to know about that. Still, I'm circling back, like, what happened to DJ Yellowboy? What happened to MC Ren? You know, what happened to Jerry? You know.
That was it was. Well, I mean, you didn't really need to know what happened to him, like I guess, because I didn't really care at that point. But yeah, it would have been nice. It was like you said. The thing about it is everything was great up until the third act, and then it's when it kind of just dropped a little bit. And it's not like it was terrible. It's just it kind of felt like you had this whole team momentum building thing, then they all kind of split off, but they didn't really ever reconnect them all back together again.
Yeah. So we can honestly say we just wanted more.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. There you go.
Okay. So let's just go ahead and move on to our rankings for this movie. Let me go first for this one.
All right.
Yeah, I'm still not going to put this. I'm not going to give it the A stamp, seal of approval for this movie. It's still a great movie. Like I said at the beginning, even if you don't like rap music, go see this movie because it tells a great story. If you like rap music, you might want to go watch this because it'll tell you how to really participate in a beef.
There you go.
It's supposed to be lyrical, not about killing people. Okay, it's a lyrical battle. So, yeah, if you like rap music, you go watch this movie. If you like a good story, go watch this movie. I give this movie a definite B. This movie, if it comes out in some type of special packaging, I would definitely buy it. And what I mean by special packaging, some type of bonus, like buy the movie and you get music that was in the movie. Something along those lines. I would definitely add this to the collection. Richard?
Yeah, I'm going to have to kind of echo your same sentiment, is that it was a very, very good movie. And I would have to say, I know a lot of the movie dealt with the concern of not only the struggle of getting out of Compton, but it was also the way that the media portrayed them, and also is how law enforcement actually portrays others. And it was funny, not funny, but it was interesting to see how, the same problems that we have that are being showcased now as far as, police brutality and whatnot, it's also the way that it's portrayed here, because it also was kind of showing the dynamic of the Rodney King incident. So it gives you a different sense of perspective, especially coming from a person who, I have family as law enforcement, and it gives you just a different perspective. Not necessarily saying that, hey, everybody you meet in the trap is going to be your friend. It's just saying,
keep it real. Keep it real.
It's just saying that, you put it in perspective for sure. The casting was great, and we didn't talk about I don't want to spoil it, quote unquote, but there's one artist that shows up, and it's like straight up, it is like the best character impression I have ever seen. But
I thought that was a hologram. He looked just like him. I know who you're talking about.
Well, then pretty much when you say hologram, pretty much that sums up who it is. But anyway, I'd have to definitely say that would I go see this again? Yes. Would I actually consider buying this movie? Yeah, with pretenses, because it's got to come with a little bit more. This is probably one of my favorite biopics next to, I would say, like Ray was actually a really good one, and this one kind of would be on a very similar level. So as far as my grade is concerned, I would have to say I give it a B+.
Okay, cool deal. So coming up for me, I got to go see The Man of U.N.C.L.E. But next week we have, I don't know what we have next week.
I don't know if we had anything next week. What comes out next week? I remember seeing something coming out in August. I just can't remember what it was. Yeah. Things are kind of dying down now. Because once August kind of rolls over, September September doesn't have anything.
Oh, Hitman.
You know what? I'm cautiously optimistic.
I did wanted to talk about Hitman, and here's my however long I go on this rant. So I love video games. There's no secret about that. I like to play video games, and the portrayal of video games into movies, Resident Evil, terrible. Gosh, why do they even make more than one Resident Evil? They're just god awful.
Yeah.
The first Hitman, why? Why did they even make that movie? Need for Speed, awful. Silent Hill, why did they make more than one Silent Hill? It's just awful. Tomb Raider, why did they make more than one Tomb Raider? Awful.
Okay, now there's only one video game adaptation that actually worked, in my opinion.
Don't you dare say Prince of Persia.
No, God, no. That was the worst case of whitewashing ever. My personal pick for best video game adaptation ever that's pretty much worked is Mortal Kombat 1, not 2, 1. Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal Kombat was actually good, and surprisingly enough, they completely stripped out fatalities except for the pit. That was the only one they really actually did. But beyond that, Mortal Kombat was actually solid. And Mortal Kombat 2, nah, we ain't doing it. But yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Street Fighter, horrible.
Street Fighter, yeah, terrible. Guile didn't even have his hair. So I mean,
Guile wasn't even American.
Yeah, we know. It was Jean-Claude. So I mean, it's kind of like it could have worked, could have maybe, possibly, but no, it didn't. I would have to say that with Hitman, I'm cautiously optimistic, man. Like, Fantastic Four and Pixels were supposed to be the movies that I was like, you know what, this might work, and so far neither one of them did. So I'm gonna have to definitely say that Hitman is one of those where, like, I don't know.
So the man from U.N.C.L.E will be next week's show, people. Stay tuned.
I mean, I'll go see. You know what? I have no problem going to see it. It's just
you got me on Pixel.
Like, here's where I'm at with it. I have zero expectations, so I'm walking into this movie with nothing. Like, I have no expectation or anything with it. So it's kind of the way I would walk into this movie is how I walked into Ant-Man. Like, I walked into Ant-Man not expecting anything. I was like, okay, the movie is going to be okay at best. Like, I don't even use Marvel's name to really say that a movie's going to be great. And, you know, yeah, I'm just going to say that it. Right now, I'm just going to say it's going to be okay. I'm not going to walk out of the movie saying, well, I wish I would not have done that.
You're talking about Hitman?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, I thought you liked Ant-Man. Okay.
Yeah, no. I enjoyed the mess out of Ant-Man. It's just that I had no expectations going into that movie. It was literally just like, okay, I'm going to see Ant-Man. All right.
So, safe to say that Man for U.N.C.L.E, definite, tentatively, Agent 47.
Okay.
Hitman.
That'll work.
That'll work. All right. So stay tuned for next week's show, people. That's what we got on the docket. You know, I feel as though you should be able to now figure out where to find Richard and ourselves. We have our taglines down there, but still, Richard, go ahead. Tell the people how they can find us.
G+.2, Optimus124. Same thing for Facebook, Optimus124.
Pretty much search the interwebs for ECubed or the Mind of Cube, and you'll find this mug right here. I'm out there, people. So I want to say thank you again for tuning into the show, and I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a great day. Okay.